In the silence before battle, there is a truth older than steel. The heart of a warrior is not tested by his rage, but by his calm. The ancients knew this well. Fire does not forge a blade by fury, but by control. The samurai walked this narrow edge between chaos and stillness, where every heartbeat was a choice, to be consumed by emotion or to master it. Like molten iron shaped under unyielding discipline, your spirit must become Hagane no Ishi, a will of steel that neither trembles nor breaks. To become scary calm in any fight is not to lack emotion, but to rule over it with precision. It is the art of standing in the storm and breathing as if in spring wind. Warriors of this path, I invite you. Come below, subscribe to this journey, and thank you for being part of a community that does not run from conflict, but refines itself in it. Together, we will forge the stillness that makes men unshakable. Breath is the invisible thread that binds the body, mind, and spirit, the quiet rhythm that determines whether a warrior stands firm or falters. In every battle, ancient or modern, it is not strength alone that defines the victor, but control over the breath that steadies the heart. Miyamoto Musashi understood this truth deeply. He believed that mastery in combat begins with mastery within. When your breath is shallow and hurried, your thoughts scatter like leaves in the wind. But when your breath flows steady and deep, your mind anchors, your perception sharpens, and your movements become deliberate. This is the essence of Kokyu, the samurai art of controlled breathing. It is not merely a physical act, but a spiritual alignment, a communion between the inner stillness and the outer storm. To master the breath is to command time itself, slowing down the chaos so that you may see clearly and strike with purpose. When a warrior faces conflict, whether with an enemy or within himself, fear seeks to seize the lungs first. It tightens, compresses, steals clarity, and drives the mind into panic. This is why the samurai trained to breathe even under the weight of death. The rhythm of inhalation and exhalation became their shield, a way to temper emotion before it could take hold. Imagine standing in front of your greatest fear, yet breathing as if before a gentle sea. That is the state of Shizuka Kokyu. Tranquil breath. It is not learned in comfort, but forged in discomfort. Through meditation, endurance, and repetition, warriors conditioned their bodies to obey the breath, not the panic. Every strike, every movement, every pause was timed with respiration. Inhale to perceive, exhale to act. Breath became the bridge between thought and execution, turning reaction into response and emotion into discipline. In modern life, where battles are waged not only with swords but with words, stress, and uncertainty, this ancient principle remains unchanged. The one who governs their breath governs their world. When anxiety rises, breathe as a warrior would, controlled, measured, unyielding. Let each breath be a reminder that calm is not weakness, but command. This is how you transform fear into focus and chaos into clarity. The mastery of breath is not about control for the sake of control. It is about liberation through awareness. You free yourself from the tyranny of emotion and impulse. Like Musashi in the duel, you move with purpose, not haste. You breathe not to survive, but to dominate your space in perfect stillness. Every inhale becomes fuel for strength, and every exhale a release of doubt. In the quiet between breaths lies your power, the state where you are both still and unstoppable. Emotion is the fiercest enemy a warrior will ever face. It strikes from within, unseen yet devastating, clouding judgment and corrupting intent. Miyamoto Musashi taught that the true duel begins not with the opponent, but with oneself. The battle to command the storms of anger, fear, and pride that threaten to pull you away from balance. To control emotion is not to feel nothing, but to feel everything without being ruled by it. The samurai called this state Fudoshin, the immovable mind. It is the heart that remains calm even when swords flash and death whispers close. Emotion, like fire, is a tool. It can forge or destroy, depending on the one who wields it. The warrior's task is to temper that flame, to use its heat for focus and its light for vision, but never to let it consume his reason. Through this mastery, calm becomes terrifying to those who face it, for it is the sign of a man who has conquered himself. When anger rises, it blinds. When fear takes hold, it paralyzes. And when ego leads, it invites ruin. The samurai knew this cycle well, and trained relentlessly to break it. Every swing of the blade was not only a strike against an enemy, but against hesitation, doubt, and emotional weakness. They meditated upon death to rob fear of its power and practiced humility to silence pride. Even in moments of triumph, restraint was demanded, for emotion, if left unchecked, would lead to recklessness. This emotional discipline was their armor, invisible yet indestructible. It gave them clarity in combat, serenity in chaos, and purpose in pain. Musashi wrote, "You must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain. Emotion narrows your vision. Control widens it. When you are calm, you can see not just one path, but all. And in that clarity, you become impossible to predict, impossible to shake." In our modern battles, in life, work, and conflict, emotion remains the same adversary wearing new masks. The world provokes you to react, to lose your stillness, to fight without focus. But the warrior's way endures. Breathe before you speak, think before you act, and observe before you judge. When chaos comes, remember, let your calm be your sword. Do not suppress emotion, but redirect it. Let anger become drive, fear become awareness, and sorrow become depth. This is the secret of control, not avoidance, but mastery. You must hold your emotions like a blade, firm, sharp, but never reckless. In this control lies dominance, for a man who cannot be provoked cannot be defeated. To those who face you, your silence will be unsettling, your calm frightening. This is what it means to become scary calm, not through denial, but through perfect command of one's inner storms. In the way of the warrior, the void, no Kokoro is not emptiness, but infinite awareness. It is the still point beyond thought, where perception becomes pure and unclouded. Miyamoto Musashi spoke of the void as the highest understanding, a state where the mind is neither fixed nor distracted. To stand in Muno Kokoro is to move without hesitation, to act without the burden of thought. In this space, your mind ceases to seek control, and yet you command everything. It is awareness so vast that it holds both motion and silence, both life and death with equal calm. The warrior who touches this state perceives his surroundings not through the noise of emotion or fear, but through the natural rhythm of existence itself. He becomes like water, fluid, adaptable, and impossible to restrain. In the void, time slows, distractions vanish, and instinct merges with wisdom. This is not a gift, but a discipline, born from relentless stillness and observation. In the training of Muno Kokoro, the warrior learns to detach from form, technique, and even self. He practices until his movements no longer arise from thought, but from pure awareness. When a strike is made, it is not the fighter who moves, it is the universe expressing itself through him. To reach this level, one must dissolve the ego that seeks recognition and the fear that craves safety. Both are illusions that bind perception. The samurai meditated on impermanence, mujo, understanding that all things, including life and victory, are transient. In this realization, they found liberation. Fear loses meaning when you no longer cling to outcome. Anger fades when you no longer defend identity. In Muno Kokoro, the mind becomes like a mirror, reflecting all, grasping nothing. The warrior becomes aware of every sound, every motion, every shift in air, yet his mind remains undisturbed. It is the stillness beneath all movement, the silent center of the storm. To live with awareness of the void in the modern world is to see through the illusions of noise and distraction. The world is loud, full of opinions, fear, and endless comparison, but the warrior must hear beyond it. Kokoro is not detachment from life, but deep participation without entanglement. When you act, act fully. When you rest, rest completely. Do not scatter your energy across what cannot be controlled. Become present enough to sense what others miss, the subtle cues, the hidden motives, the rhythm beneath chaos. When your awareness expands beyond self, you begin to move in harmony with life itself. This is the secret Musashi carried into every duel. He did not fight with effort, but with awareness. His calm was not passive, it was vast. To cultivate Kokoro is to live as he did. Clear, centered, and unshakably free in the void. You do not lose yourself, you find what cannot be broken. Precision in motion is the language of mastery. The point where thought, timing, and intent merge into one seamless act. For the samurai, every movement carried meaning. Every step, every breath, every flick of the blade was guided by purpose. Miyamoto Musashi believed that no motion should be wasted, for inefficiency was weakness. The warrior who moves with precision embodies control, not just of body, but of mind and spirit. This is where discipline transforms into art, where a strike is not born of force, but of clarity. Precision is more than accuracy. It is harmony between intention and execution. In battle, it means striking only when necessary, moving only when needed, and expending no more energy than the moment demands. Such mastery cannot be faked. It is forged through years of refinement, repetition, and ruthless honesty with oneself. The samurai trained endlessly not to move faster, but to move truer. In precision lies the reflection of one's inner order. When the spirit is still, movement becomes perfect. To achieve this state, one must strip away all that is unnecessary, in posture, in thought, in emotion. The samurai understood that tension is the enemy of precision. A clenched mind leads to clumsy motion, while an anxious heart breeds hesitation. Thus they learned to let go, to allow movement to flow like water guided by intention rather than force. This is the essence of Seijudo, stillness in motion. When the warrior acts, it is as if his body knows what the mind has already accepted. His blade does not search for the target. It arrives there naturally. Musashi's own movements in battle were described as calm, almost effortless, yet devastatingly effective. This grace was not softness, it was efficiency born from awareness. Precision, then, is not the product of aggression, but of alignment, where purpose, focus, and energy converge perfectly in the instant of action. Every precise motion is a declaration of mastery over chaos. In life beyond combat, precision in motion remains a powerful principle. To live with precision is to act deliberately, speak with intention, and move with awareness in every moment. It is the difference between reaction and response, between noise and clarity. Whether in a fight, a decision, or a dream, precision requires focus, free from distraction. The ability to cut through uncertainty with measured will, like the blade that strikes only once but never misses. Your actions should reflect restraint and certainty. Each step forward must carry meaning. Modern warriors lose themselves in haste. The wise one moves slowly, but never mistakenly. This is what makes calm so frightening. Precision born from stillness. When your movements are clean and your purpose sharp, no effort is wasted, and no energy leaks into doubt. The body follows the mind follows the spirit, and all three move as one. This is the path of Musashi, to make every action a reflection of intent, and every motion a mirror of mastery. Detachment from outcome is the mark of a warrior who has transcended fear. It is the ability to act with complete commitment, yet without the poison of expectation. Miyamoto Musashi lived by this truth, that the moment you fix your mind on victory, you have already begun to lose. The samurai did not fight to win. They fought to act rightly. Their focus was on perfect execution, not on the fruit it might bear. To be detached is not to be careless, but to be unshackled. To give your full power to the present, without the weight of what if. This is the discipline of Mushin, the mind without attachment. The state where neither success nor failure can sway your spirit. In combat, it is the difference between striking with freedom and striking with fear. The detached warrior moves without hesitation because he has already accepted every possibility. Whether he lives or dies, wins or falls, he remains centered. This calm acceptance is what makes him terrifying, for he is a man with nothing to lose, yet everything to give. In battle, attachment is hesitation. The desire to win creates fear of loss, and fear binds motion. Musashi knew that victory is born from presence, not obsession. The samurai trained to release desire, to let go of the outcome long before the sword was drawn. When they stepped into combat, their hearts were already resolved. Every swing of the blade was an expression of being, not of ambition. This is why their calm was unbreakable. The one who is attached to victory fights desperately. The one who is detached fights purely. There is no clutter in his thoughts, no noise of anticipation, only the sharp clarity of the now. Musashi wrote, "Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world." The meaning is simple. Do not let your ego or your wants cloud the path. See things as they are, not as you wish them to be. True detachment is not coldness. It is the serenity of focus that comes when your spirit no longer trembles before gain or loss. In life's greater battles, detachment from outcome becomes a compass for strength. You cannot control every turn of fate, but you can master the way you meet it. When you chase results, you surrender your peace. When you release them, you find power. Every action should be its own reward, every effort its own fulfillment. This is how a warrior lives, not chained to the future, but free in the present. Spears, when you learn to detach, your energy becomes undivided. You stop fearing failure, for even failure becomes a lesson that sharpens your blade. You no longer act to prove, you act to express mastery. This detachment is not apathy but liberation, the quiet confidence of one who trusts his preparation and accepts whatever follows. Musashi's calm in battle was born from this truth. Outcomes are illusions, but action is real. When you let go of what you cannot control, you gain command over what you can, your focus, your discipline, your will. And in that control, victory often finds you on its own. Presence in chaos is the defining trait of the unshakable warrior. It is the ability to remain grounded when the world fractures around you, to stand unbroken when others crumble beneath the storm. Miyamoto Musashi embodied this state, an unwavering composure that turned battlefields into fields of clarity. The samurai believed that true strength is not proven in calm waters, but in the tempest itself. Presence is not merely awareness, it is command. The power to see order within disorder and to act without hesitation amidst confusion. When chaos erupts, most are consumed by it, their minds scattering like leaves in the wind. But the warrior who trains his focus becomes the eye of the storm, still, centered and alert. This stillness is not passivity, it is dominance through awareness. The one who remains present in chaos gains sight beyond panic, hearing beyond noise, and timing beyond fear. His calm terrifies his enemies because it cannot be broken. To cultivate presence, the samurai trained endlessly in unpredictability, facing surprise attacks, fighting blindfolded, meditating in discomfort. They learned to dissolve the barrier between calm and combat until both became one. Presence in chaos demands a union of instinct and consciousness. You cannot think your way through turmoil, you must be through it. Musashi wrote of the void that sees everything, a state where perception expands even as thought disappears. The warrior who reaches this state is no longer separate from battle. He moves with it, not against it. When chaos rises, he breathes deeper. When danger approaches, his awareness sharpens rather than shrinks. This is why the calm fighter is feared. He does not resist chaos. He rides it. The noise, the fear, the motion, all become rhythm, all become cues. In that rhythm he finds clarity while others drown in confusion. In modern life, chaos takes many forms: conflict, pressure, loss and noise that overwhelms the mind. To live as a modern warrior means to remain present within that chaos, to let neither anxiety nor impulse dictate your actions. Presence allows you to see opportunity in turmoil, to act from composure while others react from panic. It transforms crisis into discipline and fear into precision. When everything feels uncertain, return to the breath, to awareness, to the still center within you. This is your battlefield calm, your advantage when the world burns around you. Presence in chaos is not learned in comfort, it is forged in challenge. Each trial you endure is training for your spirit to remain awake under fire. Like Musashi, you must see beyond noise, beyond movement, and beyond fear. For when you master presence, you no longer fight chaos. You become the calm that shapes it. And in that stillness, every decision, every action, every heartbeat becomes a weapon of clarity and purpose. Discipline of the blade and mind is the fusion point of mastery, where the warrior's weapon and will become one. Miyamoto Musashi lived by this principle, understanding that the sword was not merely an instrument of death, but a reflection of the mind that wielded it. The undisciplined hand mirrors the undisciplined spirit. Every cut, every stance, every movement was born from inner structure. To wield the blade without mental discipline is to invite chaos. To think without the sharpness of the blade is to lack focus. The samurai forged their bodies through ceaseless training, but they forged their minds through restraint, reflection, and resolve. This union of action and awareness created precision without hesitation, a balance between aggression and stillness. Musashi said, "The true science of martial arts means practicing them in such a way that they will be useful at any time." The meaning was clear. Mastery is not found in technique alone, but in discipline that unites thought and motion until they are indistinguishable. For the samurai, the blade was sacred because it demanded absolute accountability. Each strike could take a life or save one. Each hesitation could end one's own. This awareness bred discipline sharper than any steel. The sword taught patience, the understanding that timing and restraint often triumphed over speed and power. Likewise, the mind had to be tempered daily, honed against the grindstone of routine and self-control. Meditation, repetition, and solitude became as important as sparring. The samurai practiced zanshin, the ever-present awareness that lingers even after an action is complete. Their discipline did not end when the battle paused. It lived in every breath, every step, every choice. Through such vigilance, the warrior ensured that neither the blade nor the mind dulled. When thought and technique aligned, the sword became effortless, not an extension of the body, but of the spirit. This is why the calm swordsman is invincible. His discipline leaves no gap between intention and execution. In the battles of modern life, discipline of the blade and mind means refining both your skill and your state. Your blade may be your craft, your words, your decisions, whatever tool you wield to carve your path. The same principles apply: precision without arrogance, persistence without fatigue, mastery without ego. Discipline means doing what must be done, especially when you do not feel like it. It means cutting away distraction, self-doubt, and emotion until only purpose remains. The warrior trains not for comfort, but for clarity. When the world demands haste, he moves with patience. When chaos calls for reaction, he answers with intention. This union of outer control and inner calm is the true edge of mastery. Musashi's sword was deadly not because of speed but because of discipline. The quiet repetition behind every perfect strike. Train your mind as you train your craft. Let the two become inseparable. For when the blade and mind move as one, you no longer fight for control. You are control. Unyielding will, Hagane no Ishi, is the core of an indestructible spirit. It is the fire that refuses to die, no matter how cold the world becomes. For the samurai, will was not merely determination. It was the unbreakable essence that defined who they were when everything else was stripped away. Miyamoto Musashi's life was proof of this steel resolve. A man who faced countless duels, wars and loneliness, yet never faltered. His strength was not in his sword, but in his will to continue. Hagane no Ishi means the will of steel, forged in hardship and tempered by pain. Just as metal is refined by fire, the warrior's spirit is purified by struggle. Every setback, every wound, every failure becomes a hammer striking the soul, shaping it into something unyielding. The samurai did not fear defeat, for even in loss, their will remained victorious. The body can bleed, the blade can break, but the will, when forged in conviction, becomes immortal. The cultivation of unyielding will begins where comfort ends. It is born in the quiet hours of endurance, in the moments when no one watches, and giving up would be easy. Musashi trained alone in the wilderness not to escape the world but to confront his own weakness. He sought a will that did not depend on motivation or circumstance, a strength that stood unbent beneath pressure. To possess Hagane no Ishi is to be relentless in pursuit, calm in failure, and patient in progress. The samurai believed that willpower was not a surge of emotion but a steady flame, one that burns without flicker, fueled by discipline rather than desire. This is the essence of true resilience, to keep walking the path even when it disappears beneath your feet. The warrior with an unyielding will is feared not for his speed or skill, but for his refusal to stop. Against such a spirit, even time loses its power. In the modern world, unyielding will remains the defining force of greatness. Challenges now take different shapes: doubt, fatigue, distraction, but the battle remains the same. To carry Hagane Ishi is to stay unmoved by failure and untempted by ease. It is to rise every time life strikes you down, not with rage, but with quiet defiance. The one with will of steel does not need applause, nor fear rejection, because his strength comes from within. Every hardship becomes training, every obstacle a forge. Musashi's will made him more than a warrior. It made him eternal. He lived by a simple truth: you can only fight the way you practice. Thus, practice your will daily. Strengthen it through consistency, hardship and purpose. For when all else fades, skill, youth, opportunity, only will remains. And when your will is unyielding, no defeat can define you, and no darkness can break you. You do not simply endure, you prevail. In the end, to become scary calm in any fight is to walk the path of mastery that Miyamoto Musashi himself walked, the path where chaos bends before stillness, and power is born from peace. The warrior who masters his breath, controls his emotion, perceives the void, moves with precision, detaches from outcome, remains present in chaos, disciplines both blade and mind, and forges an unyielding will, becomes more than human. He becomes principle itself. Calm is not weakness, it is command. It is the silence that breaks the noise, the poise that conquers fury. You do not need to fight harder, you must fight clearer. Each pillar of this teaching sharpens you, strips you of hesitation, and transforms fear into focus. This journey is not for the faint of heart. It is for those who seek to rise above themselves, to move through battle, in life or combat, like a still mountain amidst storm. Remember this: the calmest warrior is the most dangerous one, for he fights not for glory, not for pride, but from perfect presence. So breathe deeply, train relentlessly, and live with stillness sharper than steel. For in that stillness lies unshakable power.